What up guys, welcome back to another video. I want to show you how I make my preferred lever. It's basically a super buff version of a Sanwa JLF or JLX. Honestly, it doesn't really matter because we're replacing most of the parts on it. If you're into 2D fighters like Street Fighter, anime games, for me this is the most optimal lever. Everyone has their own preferences, but this is what I love building. Most of my sticks have this configuration. It's not cheap, but it's worth it for me as far as input accuracy and execution. So the first thing is that we're going to be using a JLF as a base. You guys already know the Sanwa JLF is basically the standard arcade stick that's found in most commercial arcade sticks. What I like about it is that you could get a whole bunch of accessories for it. Because it's such a standard that it's been around so long that there's just so many little parts that you could buy for it. Some of the newer levers out there, or like the custom levers, like if they break, there's not really much you could do as far as replacing individual parts. You'd have to most likely buy the whole lever over again. So that's why I kind of like the JLF still, because of its legacy. There's just a lot of parts out there that you can use to mod it. Okay, so next up, this is basically the chunk of the build. This is the OTTO DIY V5 kit. They make like a V2 kit, I believe, that makes the JLF very similar to Korean style levers. But because we're making a stick for 2D, the V5 is basically the better option. Next up, we have a SHURIKEN PCB. This is made by the homie BitBang Gaming. And what this does is replace the stock Sanwa PCB to be able to install your own switches. You could do something unique as well, like if for some reason you want your down to be a little bit more tension, you can actually replace the switch for down with a higher tension switch. Okay, next up, this is the Link EX Groove. This is a removable shaft that allows you to easily quick disconnect the stick, and it's great for travel. If you guys don't know, I made a video when this came out years ago. So definitely check out that video if you want a review of this. But yeah, this is still like a staple in the community. Okay, next up we have the OTTO DIY stainless steel version of their actuator. This is the version that I like. So you'll see two circles. It's kind of hidden in there. There's ones that have 3 circles. There's one that has a 2.5. I particularly like the 2-circle one because I find like the ones with a bigger diameter actually mess up your inputs a little bit. It's a little too sensitive for my taste, but that's up to you to decide. Okay, and then lastly, we just have a ball top. This might not be the final form. This is just what I have right now to kind of complete the full build. We're gonna start by disassembling the JLF. We actually don't need most of this. We're just kind of using the plate. Not much is gonna be really reusable once we get this all set. Let's open up the OTTO DIY kit and break down what's in here. In the OTTO DIY kit, you're gonna see a replacement base, and this is made of much better material than the stock plastic one. Very, very smooth, very durable. Here are the actuators that come with the set. Like I was saying earlier, they have different indentations. So this one, it's hard to see, but this is the stock 2-dot one, and then there's a wider one. I believe this is the 2.5 one. I don't know if you guys could see that. And then there's the 3 one, which is like really, really, really tight, meaning that like if you were to install this, moving the joystick would be very minimal. But I don't think these are really great for fighting games. Maybe for like shmups, this would be really good for. So we're actually just gonna use this part from this little bag here, and this is like the bushing right over here. Okay, so we'll leave that aside. And then the last thing is that these guys come with gates. Okay, now this is my favorite part about the OTTO DIY. This gate is a square gate. Okay, typical square gate. It matches the square gate of a stock Sanwa lever, but I like this one. This is what makes this kit godlike. This is the circle square, or squircle, or half square, half circle. I don't even know what the hell you want to call this, but look at the difference. It's basically a square, but a rounded out corner. So as opposed to the standard square, you basically can round the corners, like throwing fireballs and dragon punches, much, much smoother. And this makes all the difference to me. This is my favorite part about the OTTO DIY kit. Okay, let's get started by removing the screws from the JLF on top. Now, I will warn you, if you're actually modifying one of these that come from an already assembled arcade stick, you might run into issues with these screws stripping because they put something called Loctite in them. So I would be very cautious when you're uninstalling these screws. If you see like red stuff all over it, it makes it really hard to remove the screws. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of Loctite in this screw. It's a little bit red. Fortunately, because this didn't come as like a factory installed stick, for instance, like Mad Catz, they used to pour a ton of Loctite on these so that these screws never fell out. Okay, so we're gonna remove that. So we're gonna remove the E-clip. Be very careful, it's spring loaded. Okay, we're gonna need that guy. This is the stock actuator, we don't need that. We're gonna need the spring, the little base for the shaft, we're gonna save that. So like I said, we're not using any of this stuff anymore because all these things are gonna get replaced. The stock screws will get replaced by the hardware from the OTTO DIY kit. So we're left with the E-clip, the spring, and the base for the shaft. We're also not gonna use the stock shaft. So that's gonna go in my pile over there. First step is to actually get this piece, the bushing piece, installed. So I'm gonna get that there. Just gonna push this in and push it down, okay? There is a little bit of a lip here. Okay, so we're gonna drop in the gold hex nut right over there into these little spaces for them on the base. Okay. Fortunately, they stay in place. It's kind of nice. They actually stay in place so that you're not worried about them falling out as you're trying to screw on the plate with the included bolts. Okay. And then the next step is to line these up with the base plate like this. There's a little lip, so this kind of like sits in the lip just like that. We're gonna pop in the screws and just tighten them with this hex key. Okay, so that's looking pretty solid. I'm gonna prep the Shuriken PCB. So I'm actually gonna install my switches to them. These just kind of go on by force over here. There's little leads here that they click right into, which is really cool. All the switches installed into the Shuriken, and we are going to drop in the anchor for the shaft, and then we're going to slowly drop in the Shuriken with the switches. Now, the switches might get a little loose because they have to align to the plastic supports over here, but that's okay. You could just push this whole thing down and realign everything just like that. And you probably want to do that anyway, so it's like at the perfect position where the switches would hit. So everything's looking good. I'm just gonna push extra hard on everything, make sure that it's aligned, and that's it right there. Now, next up is I'm gonna pop in the spring, just like that, and we're gonna pause right there to work on the Link EX groove. Okay, let's take this bad boy apart. All right. Shout out to PHREAKMODS for inventing this. This is the 2nd generation. Next, we're gonna lube this bushing with some lubricant here. This is Shin-Etsu grease. This is the stuff that's preferred. You just literally need like a dab on your finger, nothing crazy, just a little bit. You don't need a lot at all, literally just enough to kind of coat it. So I'm gonna flip that over there. Okay, and then I'm gonna install this guy right over here. So I'm just gonna push this through, right? And get that all the way through. Next, I will install the stainless steel actuator. That's gonna go right in between the switches. You're gonna hold it down because it's spring loaded, remember. Install the E-clip again. You can just push this in, or you can use a pair of pliers and push this in. And then we're gonna pop on the gate, okay? So you're gonna add your dust washer right over here. And there is like a rubber O-ring here that prevents the dust washer from slipping through further. And then you just screw on your ball top of choice. and then you want to use the included hex key to kind of lock that down. Okay, push up on the actuator, and that's it. We have created this godlike lever for 2D fighters. What makes this really awesome is how smooth the inputs are. It's a huge difference. Like if you're coming from a stock JLF and then you use this specific setup, my God, like everything just feels like a dream. The smoothness of hitting the corners is unmatched. Okay. The actuator, again, you can use the different sizes. I like this size and I like the stainless. The reason why I like the stainless steel versus the stock ones that we got in the package, the little dust that can break off from these from this material over time can damage the switches. So I figured I'd spend a little bit more money, buy the stainless steel version of it. It's basically indestructible and you won't have that issue of like little dust flaking off and getting the switches all clogged up. This is my preferred lever, guys. It's not cheap to do, but I do feel like it will enhance your performance as well as last a little bit longer than a stock setup. Not that hard to do, really quick mod, and you'll have an amazing lever that you can customize further, replace switches as needed, travel easy with, and hopefully body some people. Okay, so here is the lever installed into my daily driver. The one thing I did change is I added a 1.5 pound spring, and then I also added my custom clear dust washer, and we switched the top to a orange bubble ball top to match my Koi fight stick. So that brings this video to an end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the process of me building my favorite lever setup. I'm thinking about making a series of these types of videos where I break down all the newest tech that's available to upgrade your fight stick setups. So don't forget to get subscribed if you haven't yet, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this lever setup or what your favorite setup would be, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.